use my freezer storage to the best of its ability. What? Today in this video, I'll be showing you guys how I use the Miltbricken method to maximize on my freezer storage. With using this method, I've been able to use up my freezer storage wisely because, I mean, over time it will get full and you might run out of space faster. This method is a way that you can utilize it a little bit better. It also helps with keeping your freezer organized, your breast milk bagged and labeled accurately, so that when it's time to use your breast milk, you have the perfect system in terms of getting out the milk that you actually need at the appropriate time before it goes bad. So what you need for the Miltbricken method is Ziploc bags, which should be freezer safe because you will be storing these in the freezer for up to 12 months. So ensure that your bags are freezer safe because just like anything else that goes in the freezer, breast milk can get freezer burn. So need a marker, preferably something that is permanent, so you can use a Sharpie. That way your labels stay perfect and smudge free for the amount of time they'll be stored in the freezer. When using this method, you want to ensure that everything is as even as possible so that when you're creating your bricks, everything is organized and everything takes shape into an actual brick, because that's the whole thinking behind this method, is that you have actual bricks that you can stack in your freezer to maximize the space. Which goes back to what I mentioned in my previous videos. When you're bagging your breast milk and you're ready to store them in the freezer to get frozen, you want to ensure that you freeze your breast milk as flat as possible, because not only does it help in terms of the Miltbricken method, but it also helps when it's time to defrost your breast milk for feeding. Everything gets thawed at the same rate and at an equal pace, so you will not develop any hot spots and whatnot. So far, I've used 3 breast milk storage bags that I can attest to in terms of how flat they do freeze and how well they do in terms of creating a brick. So I have used the Lansano bags. With the Lansano bags, these will be my #1 go-to in terms of freezing my breast milk flat and creating milk bricks, because these freeze your breast milk super flat, or as flat as possible, because even if it isn't as flat, it's still equal. So these will get them as flat as possible, in my opinion. When you're trying to squeeze that air out, if you go back to my previous video, you'll see I showed you 2 ways you can remove air from the bags. These bags tend to, and you get breast milk everywhere. But in terms of, this will be my #1 go-to in terms of getting my breast milk frozen flat and creating milk bricks. My #2, my second go-to, will be the Medela storage bags. I know they do have other types, but this is the one that I use. These ones, they do tend to freeze flat because of the material and the texture of the bag. The milk tends to pool at the bottom where you won't be able to freeze it as flat as possible. So you do see that it has like a bigger base compared to the top, where it freezes thinner than the bottom. So my #3 would be the Mom Cozy breast milk storage bags. As you can see, compared to the Medela, the base of these tend to freeze thin while the top freezes thicker. It's like the complete opposite of the Medela bags. And then you have the Lansano bags, which freezes completely flat. There are ways that you can ensure that you get completely flat bags or as flat as possible bags, but I do not utilize. You can use a cookie sheet where you put the bags in between two cookie sheets, so the pressure from the top cookie sheet is going down on the bag, which forces it to freeze more flat. You can also use the pencil case method where you put a certain amount of bags inside of the pencil case and just squish it together to close it, and just the pressure from both ends obviously will force the bags to freeze flat. Apart from that, the method that I use that I mentioned in my previous video is just laying them as flat as I can in a storage basket and just store them as is in the freezer. So this is the method that I use. I just put the milk bags, I just stack them on top of each other inside of a storage bin and freeze them in the freezer, and they get frozen as flat as they can. I do that for all the bags, no matter the type of bag, and those three were the result of me using those bags with this method of freezing them as flat as I can. So moving on, I'm just going to label my bags. Some Ziploc bags do come with a pre-made label, so you can utilize that depending on what you actually want to put on your bag, or you can just create whatever labels you want to and adhere it to the bag or put it inside of the bag. Usually how I label my bricks is obviously just put in that it is breast milk, the date. In terms of the date, you want to add the date of, you want to use the date that's already labeled on your breast milk bags. Depending on what your storage dates are on the storage bags, you're going to use that same date on your brick bags. So if you're bricking breast milk from two separate bagging sessions, you're going to use both of those dates. So if you have a session from April 1st and then you have a session on April 7th, you're going to add on your bag April 1st through to the 7th. Otherwise, you could just put a use by date. It's really up to you how you want to label your bags and what your system is in terms of you removing and using your milk. So I'm just gonna get all my breast milk and try to organize them as best as I can in terms of the dates. In this storage bin, I have breast milk from May 22nd. I also have breast milk from May 18 and May 13. May 18, May 13, and May 22nd that I'll be bricking today. So you want to make sure that you brick them in order of the dates. And if you are going to be mixing dates, you want to ensure that you brick the closer dates together in one bag. So typically for me, my bricks consist of about 60 ounces of breast milk because I do store my breast milk in 5 ounces. Usually when I bag breast milk, I always end up with about 60 to 70 ounces of 60 to 75, 80 ounces of oversupply. So sometimes I might end up with a brick that does not have a full 60 ounce. So if you do end up with a brick that has less than what you need in your brick for your brick to stay structured, you can always go back to that previous brick and add from the new batch that you have. I'm going to go ahead and add the date to my bags. So the first one I do have enough to fit in one brick, so I'm just gonna add May 13. I usually just put the date. The year does not really matter to me because you have to use it within that year anyways. So in order to get a good foundation and ensure that your brick is as squared as possible, what I like to do is add a bag to the base of the bag. So I have about 11 May 13 bags. For the Lansano bags, typically because they freeze so flat, you should be able to fit more than 10 in it and get the brick as squared as possible. But because you're gonna be labeling your bags anyways, you know how much milk is gonna be in your Ziploc, so you can label it as such. Because that just fit. So I was able to fit all 11 5-ounce bags in here for my May bagging. Some people, oh actually I do have 12, my bad. So I'm gonna add my 12, which goes to what I was about to say. Some people, depending on how structured you want your milk brick, you can also go ahead and add. So I was able to fit 12 bags of 5 ounces in here. So that would leave me with 60 ounces of breast milk in one brick. And you want to ensure that your brick is as squared as possible so that you're able to stack it and it could stand on its own, as well as stack other bricks on top of it. Now that you know exactly how much ounces of breast milk is in your brick, you're gonna go ahead and add that to your label. So this is a 60-ounce brick. With the Lansano bags, because they freeze so flat, I'm able to add more than 50 ounces to one brick. So I'm going to continue on to my other brick. For my May 18 bagging, I have, so in total I have 13 May 18 bags. So I'm not going to be able to put all of them in there, but I'm definitely able to fit another 12 in here because of how flat that batch was frozen. And this is from May 18, so we have May 18, 2025. So this is typically what your brick should look like. Very structured. You should have a great foundation. Very firm and very stable bricks. This milk is from my most recent bagging session, and I have a May 18th bag left. So as mentioned, you want to ensure that if you're going to add separate dates to one brick, you want to make sure that those dates are as close together as possible. So in this brick, we'll have May 18th and May 22nd milk. So in that case, where you have breast milk from two separate dates in one brick, you want to add that to your label as, for example, May 18th through to May 22nd. Keep them together and as flat as possible. So that there. We have a whole brick. We have a whole. So I'm gonna go ahead and see how best I can brick these, because some of them are not as flat as I would like them. So go ahead and add your bottom layer so that you have a nice brick. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I do have 12 13, 14, 15. I do have 15 May 22nd bags, but what I'm going to do is, so I do have enough for one brick, but what I'm going to do is, just to ensure that this also gets bricked and stored, I'm just gonna remove one of the May 22nd bags and add my May 18 bag, just so it gets bricked as well, and it's not left until my next bricking day where it will be further away from May 18th. And also, you guys realize that I did put that one on top of the brick so that that one is more easily accessible. So that one also gets used before the May 22nd bags. I did add May 18th to May 22nd on the bag. So we do have 4 extra bags. Obviously, that cannot create a brick. Just create a bag with extras. Create a bag with extras, and then your next brick. So today we did end up creating about 3 bricks that are stable and stackable. And this will help you to maximize your freezer space and store your breast milk in an organized fashion. So yes guys, that is the end of the video. This is how I utilize the milk bricking method so that I can organize my breast milk properly and use my freezer space wisely. So I'm gonna go ahead and add these to my freezer. When I add these, I can see how much more space I have to use. Thank you guys so much for watching. We have come to the end of another video. I hope you guys did take away a lot from this video. If you guys have any further questions on breast milk storage or breast milk in general, you could drop them down in the comments and I'll get back to you. Or you could just shoot me a DM. Bye.